All right. So like I said, my name is Tyler Hoyt. I share the athletic director role with Terry Norlock. I'm also an 8th grade history teacher at Laguna. Um, with starting this meeting, I plan to kind of just hit the logistical things on like my end, transportation, the shirt and sweatshirt orders, some COVID policies, things like that before Mr. Ochando here jumps in and talks actual basketball. I'll have the chat open too, so if questions do come up, you can keep those rolling there, and I'll try to field those as I can.
And Mr. Hoyt, am I co-hosted or not? Or
I can make it that as we get going here, and then we'll roll from there. I'll start by putting my email in the chat too if something comes up or you want to speak to me privately as well. So that's my email in the chat box there down low. If you've got students at home or you're not familiar with Zoom, there's a little speech bubble down at the bottom that'll open the chat. We posted to Classroom and handed out at practice apparel information. So if students athletes would like to buy a sweatshirt or t-shirt, that information is posted to Classroom, but I'll paste that link here as well in the chat. Totally optional. The orders close tomorrow at 5, and we'll have them picked up and at Laguna and delivered at practice in a week or so. Daycare's a little bit back ordered right now, so they might be more like 10 days, but generally pretty speaking, they move pretty quick. Diving into COVID piece. So masks are required for all indoor practices and games. That goes for spectators, families as well. I've been told by our officials that they will actually be giving a team a technical if there's a continuous issue in the stands with masks too. So the officials and as well as the school system are taking it all very seriously COVID wise. Students missing school because they're sick or in any sort of quarantine situation obviously can't play or practice on those days as well. We are not testing any athletes, and that's school district wide and county as well. So high schools, middle schools in general, not doing testings of athletes on a cyclical basis. From a vaccine standpoint, there is a space in which if you have an unvaccinated student and they have a close contact with a COVID positive student, regardless of the mask situation between those individuals, that the student can be placed on what's known as a modified quarantine. We've had it happen a few times at Laguna, not often as this year started, but the modified quarantine allows the student to go to school, but nothing else. So extracurricular things like basketball or after school sports would be something that the student wouldn't be allowed to go to. If the student is vaccinated.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Tondo.
I mean, what you said just kind of concerns me. So a kid on either team, whatever, test positive or suspected positive, all the other teammates now are quarantined and ineligible to play a game?
No, so this only applies to an exposure of an unvaccinated student to a student who is known to be positive with COVID. That student is not symptomatic or showing any like sign that they actually have COVID. They can be what's referred to as a modified quarantine, where they can attend school, but they can't attend any extracurricular activities. If the student that was exposed was vaccinated, it wouldn't matter. They would continue practicing, going to school. This is a specific policy and public health ordinance that only pertains to an unvaccinated student who has a exposure.
All right, that clears it up.
It's super technical, but I felt the need to. Oh, and Val is here.
Good.
I need to put that in here just to say that, like, if it does come up, that's the reasoning behind it. And I'm happy to chat with families if they want more details about that.
Great.
The only reason if your child is vaccinated, the only reason they're going to miss school or games is because they're actively sick and the school is saying you can't be here with a cough, regardless of whether or not you're vaccinated. I'll roll forward because I'm not seeing any questions in the chat COVID wise, which means I feel like I kind of dodged a bullet in some respects. Travel, because it's school sports and it's new for most of our families, unless you've had kids roll through Laguna or Slow High before. Our school sports programs provide a busing to our away games. So when we're playing at Lewis or we're playing at Flamson, we get on a bus and we drive up to pastoral bowls. Students will get out of class, they'll miss a portion of sixth period, responsible for all that missed work, ride the bus up, play the game. They're welcome to ride the bus back to Laguna. However, if you are already there in North County watching the game, you can drive your own athlete home with just checking out with coach. If you want your child to ride home with someone else, you can write a note and have parents from both ends of that dynamic sign it, and it can be good for the whole season too. So if Tom Franciscovich wants Heidi Gill to take her child home, just write one note, put a date on it, and it's good for the season.
And then does administration need to sign that note?
No, I can keep track of them. We've found that it's easier almost on the coach's end to just like, you have it with you and you know what the situation
Okay.
is. Rolling forward, family passes, we have 8 home games. If you would like to attend all of the games, we'd encourage you to just buy a family pass. It's $40 for all of those games. And it's good for the whole family. So siblings, mom, dad, everyone can use that same pass to come in all at once. We'll have those for sale at the first game. And it's just like a one-time purchase, and you'll have that pass, and you won't even need to keep track of a physical pass either. We'll just keep a list at the gate, and you can roll right in. And our kids that work the gate will usually just get to know you because you're there often enough. They'll see you and be like, oh, that's Mrs. Gill, welcome. With our athletes, we'll also be giving them a pass to give out to friends on campus as well. So they'll have two fan passes to give out for any home game to get a friend into the game free. We have our schedule posted online on the Laguna website. I'll post that here too. Let's see here. Drop the full screen. It's as up to date as it can be. There's always, I'm quickly learning, tweaks and things that come up between other schools as well as our own school with regards to transportation, that maybe we get a call from the Judkins coach or the Judkins athletic director in a few weeks, and they're going to say, hey, like our bus is falling through, we're going to be a half hour late, the game's going to get shifted around, things like that do happen, and we'll make that reflected on this spreadsheet as quickly as we can. That's for all of our sports, by the way, so it's tabbed on the bottom. As you click across the bottom, you can switch to different team tabs.
Mr. White, there's a question about ASB cards and if parents get in free.
Your parents have ASB card? No, so the ASB card would be for like you as an individual student, rather than for the family. I had a question that came up on Google Classroom as well, like circling back to the apparel. If you ordered a sweatshirt a while ago, like right when that order form opened, they weren't putting a name option on there, but they've since added to have the student's first or last name, whatever you prefer, on the bottom back of the jacket. And if you'd like to add that after the fact, there's now basically 3 items on that web store. There's the sweatshirt, the long sleeve shirt, and then add a name to an existing order. So it's $12 more to add the name to it. You don't have to, but if it's something you want to circle back to and add, that option's now there. And if you have trouble with it, email me. I'd be happy to walk you through it, or connect you with someone at J. Carroll who can answer that direct. We have a really good working relationship with them, so they get back to us really quick with issues. Let's see here. The last piece before I turn over to Coach Wright and Coach Otrondo would just be to say that, first of all, I think these two have been doing this for a very long time and are legends and experts in their own right. But even more broadly, as an athletic department, we stand behind our coaches and the policies that they put forth with regards to playtime, strategy, the type of defense they want to run. So we're uniform in that sense of practice. So we are fully on board with everything that they are doing. Do you want to go breakout room mode, or would you rather just kind of take turns and bounce off of each other?
It's a small group, right? There's not too many of us here.
Yeah, I've got 18 of us, including the 3 of us. That's 15.
It might be better. I can kind of go quick and then Coach Wright can go.
Okay. I mean, it's good for 7th graders to kind of, yeah, we'll just hear the whole thing.
And would I be able to share my screen?
I can set that up. Yeah. Cool. You should be good.
Okay, and am I coded okay to go?
Yeah. Welcome to.
All right. Okay, I'm Mr. Otrongo, 7th grade coach and 7th grade PE teacher. Let me just quickly, let's see. Are you guys seeing the agenda there?
Yeah. You're good.
Okay, great. All right. So yeah, my goal's pretty simple. I don't like boring basketball. I want to play fast and exciting. I think it's also a fun way for kids to play. We spend a lot of time on defense. We try to be the most aggressive and the best defensive team in the county. We emphasize playing unselfish basketball. We try to reinforce non-scoring stats, rebounding, assists, steals, we even stat defensive touches. Then we want everyone to contribute every game. Playing time, pretty simple, earned by effort and performance in practice and games. I try to do in the first half a rotation where we play for 4 minutes and we sub 4 or 5 at a time, and then another 4 minutes go by, and then the last 4 minutes. So it's a 12-minute half, 2 6-minute quarters. So by the end of halftime, all of our players have played, and then in the second half, we just go as needed. If it's a close game, we might play our top 7 or 8 players. If it's not a very close game, we would get players in the second half again. And we go against a lot of teams who don't sub or play their bench or keep their star player on the court the whole time. And the question here, does it work? Every system has its flaws, but this has been successful. A lot of benefits to it. If Johnny knows he's going to get in the game in the first half against the other team star player, and it's not a 20-point lead one way or the other, they're likely to be a little bit more motivated and try a little bit harder, rather than, hey, you only get in the last 2 or 3 minutes if the score is not close. By halftime, we're rested. We usually are not in foul trouble. And that also helps us in the second half. And it also helps us with goal number 1. We can keep a very fast pace and play very aggressively because we're well rested, because we play everybody. I want to show this. This is our Laguna classroom. And I plan to invite parents here. So I would type messages to students, if I needed to. Here are a bunch of videos, okay, out of bounds plays, our offense, that we want to run. There's, videos for that. So kid needs to review before the game Monday. He can click on any of these things, and that will help them. So trying to use technology. If we're able to film games, we might even put parts of videos of games on here for kids to watch as well. But I think this is very helpful piece as far as communication. And then it also helps players if they miss a practice, or like I said, they're confused about any element of what we're doing. It's all right here for them to, on their own time, look that over. All right. There's we post things like, here's an offensive review. Do you know these things? If you don't know these things, you need to see me, and we'll clear things up. All right. All right. Let's see. Most kids have had their physicals done. Obviously, they can't play without that. Coach Wright, I'm going to let you speak to dress code. Behavioral expectations for me. Sometimes we'll get a teacher come to us and say, hey, your basketball player is really misbehaving in my class. And, I will then, or maybe they're not performing well academically, but let's say it's a behavior issue. I will come to that player and say, look, hey, you represent the team. You need to behave appropriately and respectfully. And if I get another complaint for that teacher, I will sit players. I will, you know, we will hold them accountable. Also with being on time, if they're late to practice and they don't have a reason, they don't contact me first, that will decrease their time. And if they just don't show up for practice without emailing me or contacting me some way, unless it's an absolute emergency, then they would be benched for the next game. So we expect communication, we expect them to be on time, we expect them to behave in class. I think Coach Hoyt already talked about picking players up for away games, so I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to go ahead and get out our screen share here and turn it back over to Coach Wright. Looking forward to a fun and exciting season. Here we go, Coach Wright. It's all you.
I got in. Hopefully you can all hear me. You'd mentioned the dress code, and one of the unfortunate things, I'm not on campus during the day, and so it's a little more difficult for me to know some of the changes that have occurred. One of them is this Zoom meeting that we've never had before. It's always been an in-person situation. I'm going to assume that, Mr. Atrando, that the players are going to be wearing ties.
You know, we haven't talked about that. That's been our tradition of doing that. And
that would account for a number of students learning how to tie a tie.
unless it's a clip-on.
Yeah, I you know, hopefully that we get that across to the students that on game day, the students of Laguna are well aware of who is playing basketball, when there's a basketball game, whether it's an away game or a home game. And that goes all the way into the classroom. Behavior in the classroom is as important as behavior at the game. And so we hold each of those players accountable. You mentioned a little bit about playing time and things like that. In the length of time that I've been coaching at Laguna, all of my players have always had a chance to play. I think the problem that some students will have is that there's no equal playing time. I'll get all my students in, but as far as how much time they have on the court is going to depend on the game itself. If we're quite a ways ahead, probably I'm going to use my bench more than I am my starters. And on the other hand, if it's going to be a close game, I'm going to be using students who are trying to get used to the game, and I'll be substituting not as a giant group, but maybe one at a time, so that they can blend into whatever the students are doing at the time on the court. Mr. Rondo?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Are you finished? You were just talking about blending.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you went over quite a bit of it.
Yeah, so they are going to wear ties on game day. So that would be something they might need.
If that's what the school would like, that's the tradition we did do.
Okay.
We may have to teach a lot of them how to tie it.
Okay, so we'll stay with that then. I don't think I have anything else. But if there are any questions, I'm not seeing anything in chat. We might try to get a parent email going in addition to the Laguna Classroom as well. It's just an easy, quick way of communicating with parents.
I would like to talk to the 8th grade parents separately if I can.
Okay. So
I can make a breakout for that.
okay, so I guess if it's just going to be 8th grade, I'll leave as well with the 7th grade parents.
Yeah, that's cool. I think I have 2 parents who had to hang on after with me, but that's all. We'll let that sit through. And there.
Do
I'll
the
just-
parents have any questions of us as a whole rather than the individual coach? That might be a good thing to do right now.
Okay, they can unmute or they can type it in chat.
Okay.
Yeah, and for the 7th grade parents, you know, you can use my school email as well, j.otrondo@sanluiscoastal.org. All right, so we're hoping the deadline for the sweatshirts was that the 22nd?
Yeah, it's tomorrow and
Oh.
at 5, and I'll pick those up as soon as Jay Carroll says they're done. I would suspect about a week, so probably the following Friday. So not in time for that first game.
Yeah. Okay, and
Yeah.
that's also a good thing to bring. It gets cold on the bus and the away games, and
For sure.
yeah, it's a nice thing to have. All right, so Coach, do you need me to stay or are you good with just?
Yeah, I'd like to talk to the 8th grade parents.
Cool.
Okay.
Val, I'm gonna pop into a breakout with just one parent who had like a specific question for me, and
Okay.
everybody else is just gonna be here with you.
And Mr. Hoyt, is Coach right? Does he need to be co-host?
No, I can leave. I can leave the room, and he's more than capable of handling what's going on.
All right. Okay, well, I'm going to say goodnight and thank you to the 7th grade parents, and hopefully we'll see you all on Tuesday. Appreciate you coming. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So for the shirt, I think I did not know you had a third. a third child. Is that
Oh, I have 4 actually.
4? Okay.
That was actually an adult.
Well, so okay, so is Keegan the oldest?
Yeah, Keegan's the oldest.
Okay, cool. So if you scroll down on that J. Carroll website,
Yeah.
you're looking at the sweatshirts. I think I was looking at it on my phone a little bit ago. There's the shirt on the left. It's like if you like this item, you might like these other ones. And as you scroll down, there's one that says like, if you already ordered a sweatshirt, click here.
Here, you do it. All right, he's trying to pull up the link right now. Okay. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, and I think you can put the name in. So you put the last name on, and then you can add like an additional note and say, because usually they sort these by the person's whatever card you put on there. So like if you put your credit card on there, it's gonna get put in a bag with your name on it. But the sweatshirt I guess I'm saying if like you have a different last name than your child, you would want like to make sure that you are clear with them on that.
Okay. Can I like write in the add note to your order?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. If that situation applies, you would just jump into that note box and say, hey, this is.
Okay. Well, it doesn't apply, but we ordered multiple sweatshirts.
Oh, cool. So yeah, if you want to like have all of them have the name on it or just one of them.
Okay. Then I can say which one to put that
And if you have, I can try to follow up and call J. Carroll, make sure that was clear with them.
in. All right.
Like I said, at this point, I feel like I talk to them multiple times a week for sort of school stuff. So it's very easy to add that to my J. Carroll list.
Okay, perfect. And then Cole keeps saying that there is potentially an issue with his physical form.
No, it's the physical. That's good. I think because Coach, by the time when you and I last spoke through Parent Square,
Yeah.
I printed out that whole well check
Yeah.
thing and took that to that's all good. It didn't. Those two pieces of paper didn't cross at the right time when like Mr. Otrondo handed out his, and I got it. But you're good.
All right, cool. Okay, perfect.
And if you've got any other questions for me, I'm here till the end of this 8th grade meeting. So
Okay.
you got stuff for me, shoot.
Good. We'll go get this sweatshirt figured out and then he's good to go.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a good night.
You too. Thanks.
Ah. Hello, Tyler, you're back. It's okay, you can loosen up the microphone if you want to ask some questions. One thing, when you go to a game, introduce yourself so I get to know who you are. It'd be nice if I can kind of coordinate the parent with the student. That comes to another thing too. Every once in a while, I have students that have a little bit of difficulty in a classroom. Usually it has nothing to do with conduct, because generally they're a lot better during basketball, but they may be having difficulty academically. And if they are, please let me know. Rather than send them home where they're not at practice, we have this little table where they can work, and they can get help from other students or from me during practice. They don't have to make lots of baskets just to get to their homework. They can do it right there, and we can approve it before they get onto the court. That's kind of a fun part of being in middle school. Any other questions? You're probably going to have a lot. And so, after the game, if you want to come up and say hello, introduce yourself, talk to me, please do, because I can stick around for a long time. I got to clean up anyway. So hopefully it's going to be fun.
Hi, Coach. My name is Amy. I'm Drew's mom. I was just curious if the practice schedule will mostly be the same on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays, or if there's like ever a change when you practice later, how we would know.
Yeah, once the games start, practices are always the non-game day. And usually both of us target whatever team we're going to be playing. The tough part is we don't know them quite as well as we used to. Because of the last two, last year not being played. But, the same situation, they have to have time to do homework. You've got to be able to be a part of school. So we want them to get home as soon as possible. But normally we're not in competition with volleyball. They have ended, so we'll have earlier practices. If your student needs to go home early, send a note and I'll release them so they can get to whatever you need. Any other questions? Well, we got a lot of kids and it's going to be interesting. I've learned all the names. That's kind of important. I haven't got all the nicknames that they've come up with, which are kind of strange, but other than that, I got a question. What time are the practices on non-game days? Right after school. 15 minutes after school. And we share the gym with 7th grade. We switched just like we did today, where one of us will be in the smaller area where we work on maybe defense or some individual skill. And then we go into the main gym and switch with 7th grade. And hopefully we don't have to ever go outside again. That was tough, to say the least. Tough on all of us. Any other questions? Nope. Okay. Well, thank you. Hopefully I get to meet you on Tuesday. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. We'll be ready. And I promise to know everybody's name, like Lucas, for instance. I know. And Malama, I know him too.
I have a quick question about the
sure.
game days. Do 7th and 8th graders travel together on the same bus, so they all have to stay together for both games?
Right. And here's a really,
Okay.
you bring up something that's really interesting. When we go to another school, and we're on the same bus, and the seventh grade gets ready for their game, which usually is first, except when we play at a school in good old San Luis Obispo that I won't name, that has a cross over it. I encourage my kids to start their homework while that seventh grade game is going. Mr. Otrando's offenses are so complex, I don't want them to learn it. You know, they've got their backpack with them. They're ready. You know, they know what their homework is. What better time than to get some work done before they start their game? Because after their game, they get really, really tired, and they don't seem to want to do things.
So the 8th grade games are always at 4:45?
Normally, yes.
Okay.
With mission prep, they're asking that the 8th grade be first. I don't know, Mr. Hoyt, that's still up in the air, I hope.
Yeah, I liked your, this is not sacrilegious, but the school with the crossover. But yeah, mission for whatever reason, whether it's a genuine need or a look for competitive advantage, prefers to play their 8th grade games first.
Right.
And there are other schools that have backed up their start times for other just school logistical reasons, where they're like, hey, we've got to start the game at 3:45 instead of 3:30 because whatever after school program they have going on. But yeah, mission stands to be our only one where we flip the start time, and I think I have that noted on the schedule. And maybe it said I need to be bolder and saltier and just say no to mission when they ask for something like that. But I felt like I should be nice the first time.
That is one thing that I had in the past. When the 7th grade game is going, it's a good idea that the 8th graders be there. Rather than go across the street to get something to eat or down the road a ways. I want them to stay on campus because I don't know what they're doing. And they might be able to learn something from Mr. Otrando's offense because it's too complex for me. So we'll see how it goes. But I would like them there to see the 7th grade, to encourage the 7th graders, because you know they are looked up to, and that's a good thing.
What time would you say the bus on the average arrives back to the school? 6:30? 7? Are we?
Between 6 and 6:30. I usually, yeah, if the kids have a phone, I encourage them to call their parents ahead of time and let them know, so that because usually when we get there, if a student's parent hasn't come yet because maybe they're at work or they had something else to do, I'll stay with that student until you come.
It's also distance of some of these schools that Mesa is probably double the distance of Atascadero, so that travel time coming back on the bus does just take longer.
Usually the Paso Robles schools are the ones that are the late ones. Plus, don't forget, toward the end, we go to In-N-Out Burger, and that's really important.
That was my question. Okay, so you do go. Okay.
We just go. That's toward the end of the season. It's really people really look forward to that.
Yeah, I know.
I do even. And 8th graders go first too. That's important. Rite of passage. Any more questions? I hope you find the season fun for your student, and hopefully, you know, one thing I should bring up. You know that they have to play with a mask on, and I'm teaching them that they have a nose, and to pull that mask up. One of the things I'm considering is maybe not having a student be on the court much more than a minute and a half. In other words, play as hard as you can for a minute and a half, pull them, because I've got all these, I got 14 players. And they're getting aware of it, that after about a minute and a half, that breathing gets a little difficult. I'm trying to learn what the effects are, because this is brand new for us, that's for sure. And so I'm gonna be substituting often. That may break down in the flow of the game, but at least my kids are ready to play. So, but thanks for bringing that up. That's important. Anything else? Okay, Mr. Hoyt.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you all for being here. I'll get this posted on the classroom. So if you know of parents that missed it, that will be able to sign in with their student's account and check it out.
And if, like I said, at the first game, if there are parents that haven't had a chance to talk to me, I'm more than willing to talk to them after the game. And you too, now that I know you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.